Let's start out with Pro Bowl. The Broncos have a couple players in the Pro Bowl. Maybe a snub in there? Sure, we could have a little bit of conversation about that. But the obvious one, Justin Simmons, as you reported earlier today, he made his first Pro Bowl. No doubt will be an All-Pro as well. And then Bradley Chubb, who was top 5 in the league in pressures, made his first Pro Bowl. And by the way, huge shout out to Bradley. He had his press conference with the media following, and it was obviously a big emotional moment for him. And he, just very real. And a good reminder, I think, to fans out there, to any sports fans, these are human beings. In the end, they deal with struggles. It may not be the exact kind of struggles, but they're human struggles. And this has been a stressful year for a lot of them. This is a stressful decision for a lot of them to play this season. So I was really struck by that. And, just a reminder of, first of all, that they're humans. And secondly, just the leadership in that locker room. Bradley Chubb, Justin Simmons, there's leaders on the offensive side as well. That's the kind of locker room I'm used to dealing with, and I know you feel the same. Yeah, and I think, you talked about it, highlighting the humanity of these guys. I think a lot of people don't realize that when you're an athlete, you're a pro athlete, you get injured, especially when you're on the rookie deal, right? And you get injured, and you start to doubt yourself. It's a lot of time off before you get back into playing and everything like that. When you first come back, you're not the same person you were. I mean, we saw that in training camp. Bradley Chubb was about 80% in training camp. I think he's barely back to 100% now. Oh, he acknowowed that too. He's like, I'm not there. Like, are you there? And he's like, I don't quite feel there. I don't think he's 100% now. I think that a lot of people forget that the human psychology and the elements of that they come into play, and man, it's so tough. You start to doubt yourself, and and you got all this downtime, you get depressed, you kind of fall back on, and it can be tough. I think that for Bradley, the frustration and the sadness and the depression, I think that it set in over that course of time really kind of came out in his Zoom calls. He was just emotional. Yeah, and it was really good to see. And like I said, I hope that fans appreciate just how these guys, even in the midst of, you think, oh, you're making millions of dollars, and they still deal with some pretty significant things on and off the field. So congratulations, Bradley Chubb, Justin Simmons. It was deserved. I know that sometimes in the individual accolade perspective of a team that has a losing record, sometimes, there'll be fans out there that'll probably be like, well, that's, great and all, but this team is still losing, and they're going to have another losing season. But I think that you can still acknowledge good performances in that. And honestly, as far as just, overall, I guess, positive momentum or organizational momentum, it's good to have some positives, right? I mean, we were just talking about the Jets, right? And so that's just, for the guys that are going to come back the next year, there's some positives. I saw Will Parks respond to your tweet about Justin Simmons and just how I'm more motivated than I ever have been, because those guys came in at the same time and they've been just like this. So I think that part of it probably doesn't get addressed enough about what it means for the locker room, what it means for those other guys as far as keeping them hungry and keeping them focused on improving in the offseason and trying to take this team to another level. Yeah, I think that, it's Pro Bowls are big. We dismiss them sometimes in favor of the All-Pro because it's more prestigious. But I'll tell you this, Pro Bowl snubs are big for two things: contracts and Hall of Fame consideration. Those things add up. Oh, no question. And, it's part of your legacy. And for Justin, who is in a contract situation now, they can't do anything until after the league year. But, he's on the franchise tag right now. That stuff matters. I think it's good. I think that both those guys deserved it. I think there were some other guys that might have deserved it a little bit. I understand, the Garett Bolles thing. I understand it, though, because all three of the guys that got it ahead of him were deserving to be there. With Bryce Callahan, that would have been the one to me, but the injury probably precluded that. And I'm not sure. Alexander Johnson, I think Brandon McManus had an argument. He did, but he kind of had the yips there for a couple weeks, and then he had this week off. Yeah, but I mean, by the time the Pro Bowl voting closed, the yips what he had against Carolina, and even missing this game didn't. But that's the most recent thing, and so he probably doesn't tally up the votes because there's a fan vote component to it and all that too. So I just think that was tough. I love Brandon. I think he's one of the best kickers in the league, and certainly missed him in the Buffalo game. We left 5 points on the field there, but and at least Russolino hit an extra point. So at least he got that moment, in the NFL where he hit one. So, yeah, we have a poll question we're running right now at KOA Colorado, basically asking that. So, congratulating Bradley Chubb and Justin Simmons for making the Pro Bowl, but also asking who else should have made it. I mean, Garett Bolles is running away with this thing. But, I think that's an acknowledgement, and I saw this on Twitter a couple places, that sometimes with offensive linemen, it takes a year, right? I mean, it takes a really good year, and then you backing that up with another really good year, because you have to be kind of front of mind. Sometimes, and I remember that being the case, not that Champ Bailey didn't always deserve it, but even towards the end of his career, when he's getting Pro Bowl nods and Pro Bowl votes, when he wasn't quite the same player that he was, you get it on reputation. Garett Bolles' reputation is the other way right now.
Pro Bowls really are about body of work, not just that season, unfortunately. And that's true. It's very astute observation. It's very true. Especially with offensive linemen like that, because there's no stats to put on it.
Right.
And so you kind of got to garner it. And then when you've had a bad reputation as being a holder or something like that, it tends to carry with you a year or two extra before you start getting those Pro Bowls. So
yeah, and he's obviously in that category. So it's great to see. And again, we talk about this all the time, but like a year ago at this time, would we be pounding the table? Would you see Broncos Country on Twitter pounding the table? Garett Bolles is a snub. This is ridiculous. No, I mean, no. Like that.
1 year ago, they were trying to run him out of town on a rail.
Yeah, getting top 4 money.
I'm sitting here saying, pay him now because it's going to be cheaper.
Yes.
Pay him now. You remember this last year, and everybody was laughing at me. You were all of you were all laughing at me. And I kept telling you, pay this man. It's just going to get more expensive. That's what you pay a left tackle. It's going to get more expensive. Don't let him get good on you. It's going to get more expensive. And it did.